Let's talk classroom management. And specifically, let me show you a couple of ways, a strategy that we can use AI to help us improve our own classroom management, help students reflect on their behaviors, and set goals and strategies for improvements. What I'm going to show you is a multi-part process for helping to clarify expectations for students, helping them to reflect on their own behaviors, self-monitor, and to collaboratively help one another as well. So this is going to be embedded within a PBIS system, the Positive Behavior Intervention System strategy. What we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to use the AI to create a rubric of various behavioral indicators, levels, and then provide some student and teacher reflection on it. So here's the first prompt of this strategy. Behavioral rubrics, second grade, and you'll modify as you need to. 5 categories, 5 levels per category or per indicator. Now, likely this is something you're going to work on with your colleagues, and you might even work on developing the indicators with your students as well, so that they have some buy-in to the overall process. So we need a rubric. Then, below the rubric, we need a place for the teacher and for the student to do some reflection. For the teacher, we're going to say something I appreciate about you, because even the kids that are naughty, there will be something that we can find that say, you know what, naughtiness aside, I still like you and I like this about you specifically. And a place for the students as well. What I will try next. Okay, so we've got rubric, we've got a comment section, then we need a scoring guide with some positive feedback for each range of scores. So let's start there. Let me grab all of this and jump over to ChatGPT, drop it into place, and go. It will take a moment to do this. As it's thinking, you will need to consider different ways that you can set up this rubric. For example, are there some specific areas that you want to address in your classroom with your classroom management? Are there some consistencies across your colleagues, which is a best practice as well? So every kid in every classroom has the same understanding of what constitutes desired behavior. Then you can also work with this on your students and have them score themselves, review the rubric, score themselves, and reflect on what they would like to do, some improvements they'd like to see. Okay, so ChatGPT has created it for me, developmentally appropriate. Frankly, this looks a bit like a mess because it's formatted the table in HTML, which is a little awkward, a little weird, but we can fix that. Something I appreciate you, try next, scoring table, scoring guide, etc., etc. So I'm just going to say, prepare this as a Word document for download with formatting. So it's going to think for a moment, and while it's thinking, I've already done this, so let me just show you what it came up with. And it's pretty nice, actually. So here we have our behavioral rubric. We've got our indicators down here. We've got our 5 categories and what the criteria are for each level, each score per category. Very nice. Then we've got our teacher comments, student comments. We've got our scoring tables where the student can add up or you can add up the scores. And then something to say about each level, all the way up from an amazing job. And if the student gets the lowest possible score, let's make a fresh start. We'll work on it together. Okay? So we don't have to tell kids you're a bad kid. We can say, look, you kind of blew it here, but let's keep going and I will help you, which is a very nice way to frame some of those behavioral, for lack of a better term, of behavioral criticism. You need help? I'm here to help you. Let's do it together. Okay, so that's part 1. Now, part 2 The follow-up within the same discussion thread is we want to embed this into a bigger system, a gamified system, and we want students to work collaboratively around shared behavioral goals. So it's not just, here's what I do, and here's how I did. But how can we help each other, which also itself promotes better behavior, better collaboration, cooperation, etc. So we're going to embed this into a PBIS system. We've got kids in teams of 4. Every week we're going to add them up. We're going to do a scoring guide, very similar things to what we did for the individual. Then, for each range, positive feedback and propose 2 rewards. Now, I'm not going to give any ideas to the AI about what those rewards might be, but I think that that's an area where you're going to want to think pretty carefully and maybe even work with the kids. Hey, if your team scores here, what would be a good reward? Or here, or here, or here, or all the way down. Because obviously you want the rewards to get bigger and more desirable the higher number of team points. Then we're going to follow it up as before with a reflection. And the reflection is this: for the team to do their own scoring and then come up with a single sentence of how we will help each other next week. Because we're going to do it on a Friday. How can we help each other next week? And get some shared responsibility in there. So, with that, let's see what that will do for us. Okay, so there's our behavioral rubric. And go. So this takes some initial planning. If you want specific indicators or specific rewards, you will simply include that into the prompt. For the highest level, these are the rewards. For the next level, these are the rewards. And we're going to have it create that tool for us that we can use with our students. After this, we're going to have one last thing to do. Interestingly, it did not display it. It went ahead and just gave me the download right away. That's fine. Here is what it produced. Weekly behavior, team, week of, etc. Then we've got a place for each indicator, each student scores, and a total for that indicator, and a place to put in the overall points. So, how do they do? So here are our ranges, feedback, rewards for each group. I asked the AI to propose 2. We might just select 1 out of those options. And how we will help each other next week. So really good resource that we can use right away as a part of our strategies for improving overall classroom management, student behavior. But I think there's one thing that we need to do with this. If we're going to institute something this major into our process and the way we interact with students, one thing I would recommend we add to this is let's make sure the parents know what it is that we're doing. Now I need a letter to parents to help them understand this process and its value. Encourage home support for our initiative. Because we need to explain it to them. Dear families, etc., etc. Now, if you already have a PBIS system in place, hopefully you've already communicated it to the parents. But if not, this is a nice way to keep parents informed and to garner their support. Okay, each week, 5 areas. Rubrics, you would want to provide a copy of the rubrics with this so they can see the resources that you're going to be using, what it helps them to learn, and how you can help your child at home. So a very nice way, a very nice approach for getting AI to assist you with your classroom management, because ultimately we know that when students are engaged and interactive and using pro-social behaviors, they're in a place where they're able to learn. And that ultimately is what we want them to do. Thanks. I hope you found it useful.